Happy Wednesday, everybody. I am Chris Gore from Film Threat. I'm going to be honest, I'm nursing a hangover right now. We'll see if I survive the show today. So much to discuss. Alan Ng is here with his early reaction, non-spoiler review of Black Adam. Also, we'll be talking about other films such as Devotion, Halloween Ends, and I will give you my thoughts on the demise of G4 TV. And why am I doing that? Because everybody keeps asking me. Everybody keeps asking me my thoughts, and I will give them to you unfiltered, because that's how we do things here. We do it raw, so to speak. Give me the meat and give it to me raw. Probably the most quotable line from Amazon's The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, which we're probably going to not talk about that. So you're in the wrong place if you're looking for Rings of Power talk. But we've got a lot more, plus your chat questions and comments. Let's get things started. Where's Alan? He's late. Alan is late. Where is Alan?
Yeah, throwing me under the bus here.
I'm throwing you under the bus. You're not late. You're not late. You're here. But let's get the show.
So I think it's important to ask, how did Saturday go?
I'm going to get into that.
Okay.
Saturday, I screened for students as part of a special screening. I did a speaking engagement at the University of Arizona as part of Film Fest Tucson. I was invited to show my film. We're making some minor changes to the movie. Every time you screen a movie in front of a real audience who's never seen it, it's incredibly helpful. So I was there at Film Fest Tucson. It was a blast. The students were amazing, but check it out. Look, I was hanging out with Bill Plimpton. Does anyone know who Bill Plimpton is? Do you know who Bill? If you've been going to Comic-Con for a long time, you know Bill Plimpton. So there you go. He was in the program guide with me. God, it was so much fun. It also, you learn a lot when you show your film in front of an audience. It went really well. I think the thing that went really well was there is a post-credit scene in Attack of the Doc. There's a post-credit scene, and it just everyone stayed for the credits because there's kind of, the credits are long. So we kind of put these little entertaining things in the credits. Everyone stayed to the end. It was fun.
It's long because you posted every single supporter.
I kept my promise. There are 1,100 supporters. We put them in alphabetical order by first name, and everyone who contributed to our Kickstarter is in the credits. So the credits are about 5 minutes, but it's also 5 minutes of like, there's other stuff happening. So you're gonna watch the credits because the movie's not quite over. But it was interesting. So I did that Saturday. Sunday, I'll get off the plane from Tucson, arrive back in sunny Southern California. And with all these messages, I have all these people who call me that don't normally call me on a Sunday. All these messages, people texting me, G4 TV officially closes its doors. Now, I got a text message. Some people found out at G4 that they lost their jobs via a Twitter post. Okay. I don't want to kick off the show talking about this just yet. We've got some movies to discuss, but I will be offering my thoughts about G4 because it seems to not end. The conversation about it continues, and there are lessons to be learned. There are takeaways. And what I thought was really interesting was how my film now ties into like what's happening. I'll get into that. The other thing I do want to shout out, and a guy showed up and gave me like this poster. This incredible. There were like fans there that like listened to the Nooner and all that. And check this out. Got this really cool poster with the credits and whatnot. So that was like made specifically for me. And I just hung out with a bunch of nerdy people like we're all kind of nerds there. But let's see who's in the chat before we kick things off. Oh, but I got to ask you, Alan, because you got movies to review. How was Newport Beach?
Once we got the problems figured out, it's going pretty good.
That's good to hear. You're having problems with the tickets, is that right?
Well, you know what? This happens. Look, I love Newport Beach Film Festival. They have a really strong lineup of films. Parties are great. Parties are the best parties. But I will say, for the last 4 years, the press aspect of it, being as a member of the press, being able to see screenings, it's always been a mess for the last 4 years, and it was definitely a mess this year.
Well,
and
you
really kind of culminated at the Devotion screening, which I, it's like they had to sneak me into the weird screening, and they had to finagle their way into letting me into the Devotion screening.
And you're not going to be able to see Glass Onion, is that right?
I won't, and that's because that one's sold out long ago,
right?
And so there's no extra seat available. So I get that. I get that.
All right, well, there you go. Let's see who's in the chat as we begin our live stream here. Okay, Phil Sowers is a new member. That's great. Love it. Check out the members tab. Alan posted some videos and photos and whatnot. So love it.
And the Discord link is updated in the community tab.
Yeah, we're going to continue to update because I think the Discord link expires.
It's 7-day expiration. So
7 days. So
yesterday.
Yeah, if you're a member, you get access to our Discord in addition to the bonus content that we post in our community tab. Tony A says, can't wait to hear Alan's take on Black Adam. We'll kick off with that then. Jens Anderson of the Tall-Ree, we are ready. Lord Thoth, Nerdrotic Raid. Yes, I was just there, and I am I'm drinking an energy drink. I am a little slow today. Sean,
you gonna say where you were, or are we gonna keep that a secret?
No, I'll talk about it later. Sean Z, Comic Construct, also became a member. Luther Talbot says, hi, everyone. Michael Bomer is also a member. Alan Horkin, I enjoy the Film Thread stream, but feel like maybe it should include an intermission interview where we can all break for snacks. Just do what I do. Just you can pause the live stream, or you can I don't know, sometimes I'll have a live stream on my phone and just sort of walk about my place. But there you go. Anonymous, looking forward to Gore's rant on G4. Oh yes, I'm going to be doing that. And you guys think Man of Steel 2 is going to kick ass or what? Says Sean Z, Comic Construct. Yes,
is
I do.
There a Man of Steel 2?
Not officially, but it's it sounds like they're going that direction. Spidey Sensei 72. Today's Gore's rant will help me push through this spreadsheet I'm stuck working on right now. Ugh, I hate spreadsheets. Please don't touch my stapler, says Shelby AC. Almost 54,000 subs now, says Patrick Lemire. That's right. If you are new to the channel, you are not subscribed, please do us a favor and hit subscribe. Hit subscribe. It's just give it a slap. Oh wow. Okay, and then you'll get to see stuff like this. Finish him. Oh my jeans. Okay, and then there's a lot of people in the chat talking about things that topics we haven't gotten to yet. We will get to those topics. I think we should just launch right in, Alan.
All right.
With your take on Black Adam. Now, I need you to explain to me, how did you get to see the film? How did you get to see Black Adam? And you were invited. You had no +1. What kind of screening is it?
Well, I mean, okay, so I do have a POC contact, so I've been privileged to be able to see screenings. I think a lot of it has to do with not being white. And then I still wonder, are you on Warner Brothers blacklist still?
Pretty sure I'm
on it?
On that. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I'm at certain studios. Also, I don't care. I actually prefer. I'm seeing Black Adam tomorrow. I'm going to see Black Adam with an audience that paid to see it. So
tomorrow.
It is.
Okay.
Thursday. So I'm seeing it tomorrow. My preference is always to see a film with a live paying audience. I feel you get a more authentic reaction. So I'm not a fan of critic screenings per se. I get invited to some I have no idea how, but yes, you got to go to the special POC screening, which is the no.
I should qualify that because there were a lot of white people at my screening. So
there were white people at the screening.
I think it was my contact who basically got me in, my Warner Brothers.
Gotcha. All right. Well, there you go. But Alan, I'm going to feature you here. I want to hear, what are your thoughts on Black Adam? Don't spoil the story.
I won't spoil it.
I have one spoiler thing I want to ask you though.
Okay.
But
and then okay, so let's get into it. Black Adam. Okay, so I'm gonna qualify by saying I know zero about Black Adam. The first time I ever heard of Black Adam was when I heard that The Rock was gonna play Black Adam. So I don't know anything about it. And I'm not gonna make the same mistake I did with Hocus Pocus 2 and just assume that, if you're a fan that you might like it. I was wrong then, and I'm not gonna even go down that road. So I can't speak to the lore. Whether they got the character right or anything like that. But what I can say is Black Adam is your basic superhero story. And the only reason why you'll want to see Black Adam is because The Rock is now a superhero. And, there's a charm and charisma to The Rock that just, makes you want to see this movie. But I think if it were anyone else, I'm not sure that you would want to see this movie. And it's not that it's a bad movie. It's not that the action wasn't great, but it is a superhero story that you've heard all before. It's also an origin story, which we've all seen before. And like a superhero story, there's a thing that they have to get in time to save the world. The only difference in this case is that they have the thing and they have to keep the thing away from the villain. And so that's essentially what the story is. Like I said, we can't spoil too much, so I'm not going to get too in depth in it. I will say, though, the best thing about this movie is probably Aldous Hodge and Pierce Brosnan as Hawkman and Dr. Fate. I love their chemistry. I love the way they're used in this movie. And so I think that's one of the bright spots. Rock is a bright spot, like I said. I'll tell you what's wrong with the movie real quick. The side characters, Atom Smasher and Cyclone, these two characters are inconsequential. They are in the movie because I think the Justice Society spun a wheel and it landed on those two characters. In terms of being a vital part to the overall story, it wasn't there, and I think that's a weakness because Marvel does side characters very well. You watch Guardians of the Galaxy. Let me ask you this: of Atom Smasher, Cyclone's a black woman. Atom Smasher is Jewish. Which of the two do you think is the brilliant scientist and computer genius?
Oh, definitely the black character.
Yes, yeah, and you're right.
Why is that such a cliche? It's such a cliche.
Yeah,
and it's like always like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's essentially that's the movie. It's derivative of a superhero movie, and superhero movies we've seen. Hawkman is basically DC's Falcon. Dr. Fate is DC's Doctor Strange. So the best I can say is that it's not a bad movie in terms of the action. Story's decent, but if you're looking for something groundbreaking, something great, you're not going to find it here. If you're just wanting to get out of the house, go to the theater and see a nice action movie, that's the reason you're gonna want to see this. The Rock, I'm a huge fan of The Rock. His character, as you would imagine, as the anti-hero. He does a good job. But you are literally watching The Rock as a superhero. Black Adam doesn't matter. They could have called him anything. You're here for The Rock as a superhero, and they handle it well. But the other thing with the side characters being inconsequential, the other problem with the movie is the backstory behind it, the city they're in, the lore of Black Adam. I didn't care at all for it. It's just something that needed to give some backstory, something to identify with Black Adam. And there you go. Unlike Captain America, Iron Man. You know, there's the story that they tell over time that you're invested in. I was not invested in at all. So I would give this, I would give it a C. If you just want an action movie, you want to see The Rock, there you go. Black Adam, go see it. Other than that, you're just going to say, I'm tired of, it's the same thing. We're tired of superhero movies. And this is one that really feeds into that narrative.
Yeah, I feel like I could have given the same review just from all the trailers I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my observation. The Rock is The Rock in every movie. He's just Dwayne Johnson. I mean, he's
Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise in every movie. I mean, there's something about iconic superstars that have merit to just, you'll see it because they're in it, and this is one of those.
Now, I really like The Rock. But I don't consider him an actor so much as a personality and a very likable celebrity. So the fact that he's playing Black Adam is supposed to be, from my understanding in the comics, and I'm just like you, I'm sort of like, I was aware of Black Adam, but he's effectively a villain, right? He's an anti-hero. And then you've got the Justice Society thrown in. It just seems like, every trailer, and it's gotten always kind of a mixed reaction. You don't hear people like super excited about Black Adam. It to me, it looks like meh Adam, right? Like, and it also seems like a movie that was made 10 years ago, like a superhero movie from 10 years ago. There's like, well, what makes this different than other superhero films that we've seen? And I guess the thing that people might say is, well, he's the villain Effectively. It's him versus the Justice Society. That's a guess. Am I correct in that?
I'm sorry, repeat that.
It's basically Black Adam versus the Justice Society.
Yeah. And again, derivative. You know how that's going to turn out in the end.
Right. They're going to team up.
I don't have to spoil it because we've seen it before.
Well,
the other thing is being the anti-hero. Anti-hero only in the sense that he, there's a good he's fighting for. It's just he uses, basically Batman type tactics to do it. And regarding The Rock, The Rock has always been the anti-hero not always. When The Rock came out instead of Rocky Maivia, there's during the Attitude Era, he was the bad guy you liked. And same thing here. It's just, this is The Rock vehicle to be a superhero.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I just think what is the purpose of this movie? When The Rock keeps repeating this thing, this will change the status of order in the DC universe. He sort of had this repeated line about how this will change things. So I have a couple questions. One, and I'm just going to guess because I've seen a lot of movies. So he's initially battling the Justice Society because Black Adam's a threat, and then they team up against a larger threat. Did I guess correctly?
So again, technically I can't spoil or talk about
it, Alan,
until tomorrow. No, but the thing is, like I said, you expecting something different.
Right.
I think you, like you said, watching the trailer, you're gonna get that. You know that, and it doesn't get cute in any way about. It's not clever in any way to try to diffuse maybe that idea being in there.
Okay,
maybe.
And now this might be a little spoiler territory here. Is Henry Cavill in it?
Now that would be a spoiler, but I will say that I heard on the Tuesday night thing with your buddies, that news is already out there, and so I won't.
So you're confirming it.
I won't confirm or deny it, but the spoilers are out there. These are spoilers, and we hate spoilers. And we hate spoilers for a reason because if he appears in it, it would have been a really cool moment. Would have been, but it's been spoiled. Maybe.
Why are you being coy? Just tell us.
Because I'm trying to keep my contacts so I can keep going to Warner Brothers movies.
My God.
But the thing is, it shouldn't be any surprise. I could confirm, I could deny it. You already know it, and
So when
and,
Henry
and like I
Cavill,
said, you see it coming. You see a certain scene happen. You see a certain person show up, and you are not surprised because it has been spoiled already.
right? So when Superman, played by Henry Cavill, shows up in the movie, is it at the end of the movie in a post-credit scene? Is it like at the end at the climax? Like, is there like a major interaction? What is it?
Yeah. I would say this. You could figure it out. You could figure it out. And maybe it's not Henry Cavill. Maybe it's Amanda Waller. Maybe it's Viola Davis. And that's the cool moment. Maybe it's that.
God. Oh,
Maybe it's both. Maybe it's neither. I don't know.
Alan.
I know. I'm trying to be good. But look, we have a very smart audience. And you know, you don't need my confirmation. You don't need my
Okay, so Superman shows up at the end, and I'll just spoil it.
Maybe, or was it Amanda Waller?
Look, I'll see it. I'm seeing it tomorrow. We'll have our spoiler discussion on Friday. But it sounds like if you're giving it a tepid response, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna dislike it. Every time I've seen stuff, it's I almost feel like they're so proud of this movie, and I'm thinking like we have seen this in literally so many other superhero films. That's why they kind of skip the origins. They don't even do origins of characters for Marvel anymore, with the exception of She-Hulk, I guess, and maybe Moon Knight. But like they just sort of throw these characters in. It's just like, oh, okay, well, this character exists, and that's it. But I feel like DC has a shot here, even if this is like a mixed movie. And I've already talked to other people who've seen it; they're very mixed on it. I will say that, like, I feel like DC has a shot here to become more popular than Marvel. I think that Marvel they have squandered the goodwill with the audience. And I was having a conversation with Gary Beekler on the Nerdrotic Nooner, and we were talking about something really interesting. He did a video about She-Hulk where he talked about, Ghostbusters 2016, who was the villain? The trolls. Now it's like the audience has become the enemy, whereas a lot of movies I grew up with, the enemy, the sort of like villain, whether it's like, manifested in real life or just sort of like the baddies, were generally government agencies or corporations. That has been reversed. Hardly will you see today a corporation being portrayed as evil or as having nefarious intentions. Okay. But now we live in a time where the bad guys are the audience, the people that support it. And that's why, like, not to circle back to like She-Hulk, but like the fact that it ended that way is so uncreative, so uninspired, written by people who basically are just sitting on the internet with no life experience, and this is who they choose. Their vitriol and anger towards a type of person on the internet, right? And they're going to take that out and make that the villain is just uninspired. And hopefully whatever this other dark villain character is maybe it's a corporation. I don't know.
I mean, in this one, there is a villain, and it's a traditional villain.
All right, so there you go.
And the villain fits in with the lore of Black Adam, I assume.
No, but I mean, look back at like older classic films, even like Jaws, right? One of the quote villains, okay, shark aside, is the mayor of the town, right? He doesn't care about his citizens, just like, hey, just come on, we got to get those 4th of July dollars, or even a movie like E.T. Who was the villain? A government agency, right? Like an evil corporation. These are things that are now not in movies anymore. I'm just now noticing this, and I wonder if people in our chat notice that as well. That we've sort of pivoted to the villain is the audience, and I don't like that. So
the other thing is there's a removal of villains. Period. If you look at the last few Disney movies, with the exception of one, there was no villain. It was they're fighting against an idea. Encanto was fighting against this idea of there was no villain in that movie. It was this curse that they had to reverse somehow. Even I'm trying to remember all the past Disney movies, but I've just been known. Wreck-It Ralph Wrecks the Internet. There's no villain in that one, and I feel like we're moving. I don't know. We're redefining villains when really villains should be someone who's gone kind of the dark side because of some human weakness they have, or for some grand motivation that they have, and that you have a person that you're fighting against as an antagonist and a protagonist. That's kind of the basics of storytelling here, and we're getting rid of antagonists now.
Yeah, it's first of all, I think that's a huge mistake. I think it's a huge mistake. So I don't know. It's just an interesting observation, just an observation. Mm-hmm. Corporations and government agencies used to be evil and portrayed as such. I don't think that that's wrong. I think that a lot of corporations and government agencies do not have the best interests of the people they're supposed to serve in mind. This is a weird pet peeve I'm just going to throw out there. I haven't traveled in a long time, and so I got to travel, went to another place, went through the 2 different airports, whatever. I really am against this thing of like pick a protein. This is a weird thing how they're trying to reprogram us.
Yeah,
I don't pick a protein. I like bacon.
They're screwing around with vocabulary.
Yeah, I like bacon. I like chicken. I like ham. I like steak. I like eggs. Those are all proteins, but don't call it pick a protein. Do you know why? My theory, they're pushing this term protein so that they can call other things protein, like cricket flour made from the ground up husks of insects can now be considered a protein. Pick a protein, pick a bug, pick your steak, whatever, or that they just 3D printed a steak. I saw this.
They're doing that with pork. They're cloning pigs for pork.
This perversion of language. I don't know why I'm off on this. How did I get off on this tangent?
I know.
I think it's because
villain.
Of the whole.
I mean, look, Black Adam has a villain. It actually has a villain.
Also, like the term family friendly, which is being completely perverted. It's a family friendly drag show. It's a family friendly. Pretty soon we're going to see the term family friendly double penetration. This is where we're going. This is now a lot of people are tuning out. We have almost 600 people watching us live. So do us a favor, smash the like button, and please subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. We would really appreciate it.
In Terrifier 2, doesn't Art have a kind of a daughter in there? So that's family friendly.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the chat and hear what people are saying. But I had to put that in there.
Yeah, I know.
I had to put that in there. We're going to start from the bottom here. So many good. Buford T. Justice for $49.99. Thank you so much for your support. I've got no desire to watch this movie. The trailers were modern trash, generic with corporate rap music. The race swaps are unforgivable, and Black Adam is not a hero. He is a villain. We aren't tired of superheroes. We're done with bad superhero movies. Couldn't agree more. I'm not looking forward to it. I kind of just I'll see Black Adam and I'll see it. I'm gonna have fun with my friends seeing this movie because when there's a big superhero movie, it's like we get more people to go. We kind of go in a group of like 10, 15 people. We all see a movie together. And I'm looking forward to hanging with my friends, but less so seeing the movie.
I will say I really did like Aldous Hodge as Hawkman in the movie.
You did?
I did.
Hawkman was good?
Hawkman was good. Even Dr. Fate was good. But the other two, again, inconsequential. You could have spun the wheel and gotten any sidekicks to be in that movie.
Does Hawkman have a mallet?
Yes, he does. And apparently he has super strength, which I never knew Hawkman had.
Does he have? Are the wings like organic, or are they like some futuristic tech?
No, it's like Falcon. They're mechanical wings.
So it's not organic.
No, they're not organic.
Like in the comic books.
I'm not a DC guy, so I can't speak to that. But If they were organic, the comic books, they're not organic here.
Well, Alan cashing those Disney checks. So I can see why you're not a DC guy.
Look, I was following Marvel long before Disney had Marvel.
Critics seem to really like Marvel and not like DC. Although I think they're slowly turning on Marvel.
Well,
Sean,
they like old school Marvel. I mean, old school Marvel. There was a message. There was a greatness about the message or what happened in those stories. Iron Man, Thor, Avengers. That you just not getting, or in my personal opinion, you're not getting with the DC stuff.
Right. Sean Z Comic Construct for $1.99 says, Alan, was the CGI more Batman v Superman or different?
About the same. Yeah, a lot of destruction, which surprises me because the heroine, the lead human, non-powered, her apartment gets destroyed, and no one says boo about it.
Well, JTPRX, who's a member, we always need the Allens. Thanks for being a good sport. You got it. We have to do that once every show, Alan.
I know. Every time that scene just withers away in my memory.
AIA says it's because the corporations are the ones producing the products, so they aren't going to cast themselves as the villains. Bingo, AIA. Yeah, it's definitely that. It's like this weird thing, and it used to be that creatively filmmakers could portray corporations as evil. I mean, it's like these are threads that you see, and also I also think it's kind of a warning. Government agencies and corporations tend to not have your best interests in mind. They only have the best interests of the agency and or the corporation. Joey for $4.99. Joey R75 for $4.99. Can we have an episode of what Alan passionately likes? Not the ho-hum, it's kind of good. Shit, grow a pair.
I know. It's, because you want greatness out of this. I mean, for me, the old school, phase 1 through 3, I was very passionately on board with those. Endgame is probably one of my most favorite movies, superhero movies and the like, but I hate mediocrity, and this is a mediocre movie, and to your point, this is a Rock vehicle. I think this movie exists because The Rock wanted to be a superhero, and this was the character he chose, and it comes across that way. $7 production is a big part of this, so they were involved in the story and how The Rock was portrayed in this movie.
I just think that he should have had pointy ears, which would be consistent with the comics. I think that's a cool look. Gabriel Quiroga for $2. So yay, Omnicorp. Yeah, Omnicorp. And Sandy Kumari for 100 of something. I don't know what that symbol is, so my apologies. Hey Chris, please watch the Kantara movie from the KGF filmmakers. That's KGF Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. Chapter 3 is on the way. The KGF films are actually on Prime Video on Amazon. So now that you're done binging Rings of Power, you can see KGF. I worked for this film. We made it for under 2.5 million, and we're reaching to 50 million. Please watch. Hell yeah.
Congratulations.
No, all right. I actually think it's in theaters. I actually think I will see it because I'm all about the Indian cinema. The Alex Zorba. Chris is on fire today. Thanks for being a member, Alex Zorba. Want biscuits. Indeed, this is a Rock vehicle, Alan. But after all these years, he still needs a vehicle. If so, that tells me no one's smelling what the Rock is cooking. Ooh, damn. And Shelby AC. I love this comment. Shelby AC. We all thought nerd culture was becoming mainstream and cool, but no, the nerds are still being made fun of with our own stuff. Yes, exactly.
Not only are we being made fun of, we're the villains now.
Yeah.
My nipples look like milk duds.
Okay, so let's yeah. No, it's bizarre. That's I first of all, I love that comment. It really just hits on a lot of stuff. Deadline 247 is a member. I'm now actively rooting for DC to surpass Marvel after all their recent garbage movies and shows. Question the answer says DC has a huge opportunity right now with Marvel crashing so hard. Hell yeah. Bear down. Adam says, ha ha ha. I love that Alan isn't answering. Stick to your guns, Alan. I don't love that. I don't love that. Bethany, Does it have Marvel style jokes in it?
Has rock style jokes in it.
Rock style jokes?
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I love The Rock. And The Rock is this is very much a Rock movie.
All right. Bad Andy says Dr. Fate will be the bad guy. He's white. Alan?
You gotta see the movie.
Oh my God.
I mean, technically, I'm only supposed to give social media. No, I guess I can.
Yeah. Oh, we already got that one. Okay. Does it tie in well with Shazam? Says Bear Down Adam.
You know, it seemed like it was just kind of an offshoot of Shazam. I mean, it is, but it's definitely within the Shazam universe.
So it is it acknowledges that Shazam exists?
Absolutely acknowledges Shazam.
Or Shazam, or
in fact, Black Adam is a Shazam character, right? At least that's how they're presenting it in the movie. He's a Shazam character.
CD Stein 69 will go into this movie with no expectations. Also ready to day drink with Chris this weekend on the podcast. Hair of the dog, right, Chris? Yeah. Wait, when are we doing that? Email me. We'll have to figure out when I can do it. We'll have to figure it out. But yes, I'll be doing, and I'll post something in our community tab and on our Discord. I'm going to be doing a live stream on CD Stein 69's show, which is look, see, I have it. It's Nerds, Geeks, and the Kitchen Sink. He sent me a mug. So yeah, when I do that, I will promote it. So you can check that out. Spidey Sensei 72 says, without the pointy ears and widow's peak, Black Adam just looks like Dwayne Johnson in a bodysuit. That's what I think. It's just like, you know, it like, look, fine. Chris Evans plays two Marvel characters. He plays Johnny Storm, the Human Torch in the Fantastic Four, and he plays Captain Steve Rogers, aka Captain America. Both characters in the comic books are blonde. And he doesn't dye his hair. You're getting paid enough money. Dye your hair blonde, please. This dirty brown hair, dude. And come on, like, look, just how hard is it? I bet, you know what I bet they did? I bet they did some makeup tests, and it looks stupid. So there's got to be a out there.
See, I get the sense it's like, wasn't it Sylvester Stallone who didn't want to wear the Judge Dredd mask? I mean, I feel like that's the reason. You don't mess with the face. You don't mess with gold, basically.
Look, a very valid question here. Red Terror 1978 says, so Alan, how does it compare to RRR?
There's a lot more action in RRR. And you know, and I think there's also there's a message behind RRR that I don't think you get here. Like I said, there's nothing about the story that makes me connect with it in a way that makes me feel better, feel better about the world we live in or about the future. It's just an action movie, a superhero movie. RRR, I think, you know, there's a message behind it that I'm far behind.
Okay, cool. We got about 20 more comments we're gonna blaze through.
Okay.
And there you go. Bad Andy, The Rock fought for Cavill as Superman. I will support this film. That's a very good reason for that. Black Adam was Shazam's main antagonist, says Amanda in a wiki, which why it doesn't make sense that like Shazam would not be in the movie because he's, you know, it's like the Joker, Batman. Like, why wouldn't you have that pairing?
But I mean, if the idea is that they come from the Shazam origins, that's kind of what they're telling here.
Anna Higo's a member. Thank you. Okay, I'm sold on not watching it. Thanks, Alan. And okay, Shucksy. At least Chris Evans doesn't sit on IKEA chairs. I actually think our subs have been growing pretty steadily. I think part of it is we've been doing some shorts. Not that I watch them. I don't watch the shorts on our channel, but apparently it helps get our channel recommended. And maybe my rant about Chris Evans' blonde hair would make a good short. But yeah, he doesn't sit on IKEA chairs. Gabriel Quiroga for 5. Chris Allen, why do you think there is so little buzz around Black Adam? The Rock already looks like a superhero, and we have Pierce Brosnan and still nothing. I think there's very little enthusiasm because I don't think Black Adam is an iconic character in the way that Superman, Batman, you know, it's not an iconic character. It's a very little known character. It's Captain Marvel, Captain Marvel's antagonist, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, The Rock has a very large following, and you don't need to advertise to that audience.
I guess.
People will see it because of The Rock, and and they won't be disappointed.
Okay, Brock Samsonite, do you think Black Adam will be better than Black Panther?
That's a tough one. I'm hopeful just because Ryan Coogler's behind Black Panther. And so there is a level of optimism I have for that movie, but they've been letting us down a lot lately, so you don't know.
Gotcha. Sahil for 2. Those are pounds, right? 2 pounds.
Yes.
I need a legend with the hi Chris, I recommend a Hindi film called 3 Idiots. I have heard of 3 Idiots. That is one that's on my list. So thank you for that reminder. How is The Rock's acting? Does he act like The Rock? Asks John Mewald.
Yeah, he's doesn't act like The Rock. He's a brooding anti-hero, and he maintains that throughout the entire movie.
Okay, well, there you go. Patrick Lemire, if Disney made Man of Steel, it'd be mostly about Lois Lane. Oh, God. Colt Seaman for $4.99. Alan, did Black Adam shoot lightning out of his eyebrows and body slams like John Cena in WrestleMania?
I'm trying to think. I don't think there was a lot of wrestling moves that you would think you would see in a movie like this.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably no. Probably the best answer is no.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lightning, and there are parts where you don't see him, where you can't see him.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Let me see if I get I'm just getting questions related only to Black Adam right now. There's a lot of other questions in the chat. We'll get to it. Smack that like button, says Bear Down Adam. We appreciate that. We have over 700 people watching us live. And whenever we reach a new milestone, whenever like another 100 people come in, I just have to play this video. The best thing is, look at Alan's face after that video played or any of the other videos. It's the best. All right, let me I'm gonna make sure we have a super chat here. It's 3,000 ARs from ARs from Argentina. I'm Andy from Argentina. I just wanted to say that you are one of the few professional critics that I trust, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm assuming that's directed toward me.
Or maybe it's me.
Either one. I would like to recommend a TV show for you to watch called Attack on Titan, which is one of the best stories I've seen in the last years. Best wishes for you too. Well, thank you so much, Andy. I don't know what 3,000 ARS is, what that ends up being.
Yeah, it's Argentine pesos.
Argentine. Okay, cool. How much is 3,000, Alan?
Yeah, let me look.
Can you find that out? But I am definitely aware of Attack on Titan. I have begun to I started to watch the anime, and then I discovered that there was a 2-part movie series. I have seen the 2-part movie series. I think the first movie in the series I actually really enjoyed, and then the second was something of a disappointment. But I find that it's interesting that the Japanese live action Attack on Titan is banned in China. It's banned in like in Korea. It's like banned in other Asian countries, which I find very interesting. So here we go. Yes, Bethany.
My math tells me we're looking around $20.
Hey, we'll take it. Bethany, unfiltered and hungover. Yeah, I will say this energy drink is helping me a lot. So look, if Alan didn't like Black Adam, then it's really bad. Lol.
Yeah,
so,
it's a very, it's kind of like it's good, but with a lot of qualifications. You've got, if you're a Rock fan, you'll like it.
All right. And Shuxy goes on to say, I support making Alan as uncomfortable as possible. Good. And Tom is here from Midnight's Edge After Dark. I'm late. Start over now. Oh, Tom, I'm sorry. We can't. But Look, I'll see. I have tickets to see Black Adam tomorrow in IMAX at the AMC Burbank 16. We usually pregame at the happy hour at Yard House. So if you're in the area, it's usually Yard House or Islands. Both have very good happy hours. I always go for that happy hour special. So let's get into it now. Switching gears. Any final thoughts on Black Adam, Alan?
Yeah, these things should be great. They should be great, and I think we're getting good okay with this. There's so much money poured into this. You have The Rock behind it. It should be a million times better than it is. But it's not bad. It's not fundamentally bad.
Right. And final question here. Does Black Adam have an Egyptian accent? Says Ezra Miller's cellmate.
Yeah. I mean, they won't put pointy ears on him, so why screw around with an accent?
So he basically talks like The Rock.
This is a rock vehicle. It is a rock vehicle. That's the best way to describe it.
Well, there you go. All right, but thank you, Ezra Miller's cellmate. All right, so we're going to switch gears here. And we're going to switch gears on this. And I have some thoughts only because you keep asking. And my thoughts are very brief. But I will also answer your questions. It's mostly people hitting me up and asking me questions about this. So I'm here to answer your questions. And I don't know, let's just get started. A freaking IKEA chair. Okay, so right after screening of my film as part of Film Fest Tucson to students at the University of Arizona, where I talked to them about independent film and the film industry. That was Saturday, and the next day I came back home to messages from numerous people telling me that G4 TV was officially canceled. Less than 1 year after the return of G4, it was announced during Comic-Con in July of 2020 that G4 TV would return. It then announced finally the date, November 21st, 2021, G4 would return. And it did, with a whole new crew of people. Hey, you also had Adam Sessler, you had Kevin Pereira, and then all sorts of new people, mostly from YouTube and Twitch, people covering all areas of pop culture and video games and whatnot, came together to relaunch G4. Frosks had her infamous rant, which was, in my opinion, probably unwise. While what she's saying, there's truth to what she's saying, there's a different way to deliver the message. I think you have to think to yourself, what is the result I would like? What is strategically, if you're strategically thinking, what would I like people to do? I would like people to maybe be kinder and nicer in chat. Is lecturing and telling the audience to go away the right way to do that? No. Anything that ever happened on the old G4, which I was a part of for 8 years, I was on 3 episodes of The Screensavers, and in March of 2005, I did DVD Tuesday on G4 TV nearly every week. Okay, I did that. I also did reporting. I would cover films. I was part of E3 coverage. I was also part of covering things like Sundance and South by Southwest film festivals. I was also part of the CES coverage, among other things. So I was on the network on Attack of the Show in various capacities. I did other shows while I was at G4. And it was, for me, the best television experience I've ever had because I was able to be myself on camera. I was able to do things like say whatever I want within reason. I could wear whatever I want. I wore t-shirts for bands that I liked, for movies I liked. I wore Film Threat t-shirts. It was truly the best experience I ever had on TV. And it sadly ended. And since that time, I have people come up to me and they say, whatever happened to G4 TV and whatever happened to Attack of the Show? You were on that show. So I decided, this was in 2018, I decided to make a documentary. It's called Attack of the Doc. It's about the legacy of Attack of the Show and G4 TV and kind of how, the network launched at a time when nerds were not cool. And in the time that G4 started up through, from like the network really, really sort of got its legs, and Attack of the Show launched in March of 2005. The network technically launched in 2002, but it was just a few years later that suddenly nerds were cool, right? Being a nerd, tech was really popular, new tech, right? Marvel, I think the rise of Marvel movies mainstreamed being a nerd and made it cool, and it was a different time. So this is what my documentary is about. What's happened recently and seeing the network go away is pretty sad for me, because I will say this, G4 was not initially like a huge hit. It took a couple years of being around. From 2005, really was like around 2007, I thought, oh, this is kind of popular now, and it's the most fun I ever had doing TV. The recent cancellation, unfortunately, doesn't surprise me for a couple reasons. And I think a lot of them have nothing, you can blame the behavior of some of the talent on the network. But truthfully, I believe that if G4 was going to make a comeback, they would have had to provide something that is not already readily available on YouTube. What I think G4 and Attack of the Show did was inspire a generation of YouTubers to do their own thing. Because trust me when I say, I'm not a guy that I felt was ever qualified to be on television. I lucked into being on TV because I wrote weird stuff on the internet. Somebody thought, well, if you can write these things on the internet, maybe you can talk on television. That remains to be seen. But what I will say is that most of the on-camera talent at G4 weren't necessarily professionally TV trained, but they knew video games. They knew, well, at least I know movies, right? Blair Butler knows comics. So what I think that proved was you don't have to have any professional experience necessarily to be able to talk to an audience. If you can be engaging with knowledge and speak passionately about something, you're gonna build an audience. And I think if G4 were going to come back and actually return successfully, it would have to provide something that is not already readily available and being done by YouTubers with 100,000 subscribers, million subscribers. There are huge YouTube channels dedicated to one personality talking about generally an area of pop culture or whatnot. So how do you compete with that? You have to do something different. And G4 didn't do that. The new G4 basically decided to do what the old G4 did, except I don't know that this is what the marketplace really needed. I think that there is a profound lack of trust when it comes to mainstream media of all types, not just news, not just political news, but also entertainment news. There's a general distrust. There is a trust of personalities. And I think what people look for, and I think what made the original G4 successful was authenticity. Okay. Look, if I got up there on a DV Tuesday and I said, this is a buy, rent, or pass, like that was pretty much the rating scale that I used. You can disagree with me if you like, but that was my take. And I just know from having worked there that the people I knew, who they were in front of the camera, very much like who they were behind the camera. And it was, for me, the best experience I ever had. The new G4, for it to succeed, needed to do something different. And I think that by not doing anything, by not really providing anything different or providing anything that you could get somewhere else on YouTube, that was a mistake. And again, this is a lesson. You never attack the audience, even if you're right. Because I will say there is truth in what Frosk was saying, some truth. She was clearly attacked, right? But you take those feelings, and the old G4 would have turned that into a joke that would be self-deprecating. And I think that that's how that should have been handled, is with humor. And I think if it was handled with humor as a like, then she would have gotten the audience on her side. As it is, attacking the audience was completely the wrong thing to do. I do take offense at one thing that has come out recently. There was a series of tweets responding to the demise of G4, and one of the things was that the new people at the new G4 were going to fix the mistakes of the past. Fix the mistakes of the past. The reason you're even doing a new G4 is because there was an old G4. That legacy, the brand exists because of the old network. And that to me, that lack of respect for what the old G4 built, the old G4 built a following, an audience that still likes what it was. And the new G4 did not deliver that. That was a colossal mistake. And I think to fix it tells me that there was something wrong with it. And I will say this, I'm proud of what we did at Attack of the Show and on G4. And yeah, did we do embarrassing things? Hell yeah. I don't apologize. Not for one thing. Did I say things that were probably could be considered by today's standards inappropriate? Yes, I did. And it was funny. So that's all I have to say about that. I want to know what you think. Alan, any comments before I go to the chat?
Yeah. So I don't know. I was mildly excited to see it come back, and I saw the launch, and when I saw the launch, I realized this is not going to go anywhere. This is really bad. And one day, if anyone ever cares, like I said, I've been doing improv comedy for 30 years, but improv comedy has changed in the last 10, 15 years for the worse. And the reason I bring this up is because I know a few of the writers who were writing at G4, and they were indicative of what was happening in comedy, especially amongst millennials, and they just really fed into that, and so the thing I was looking for in this opening episode of G4 was funny comedy. And it was
Alan,
and the boobs. What?
See, Alan, that's something that the old G4 would have done.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Face on Phoebe Cates.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was hilarious. You are so spot on with that.
All right. Okay.
No, but
look, having a sense,
it was doomed from the beginning, because you needed the amount of money they were spending on this, the overhead that they had. They needed a large audience, and a large audience fast, and they were presenting a crappy product, and it could not sustain the viewers that it needed in order to make any kind of money back. And that was how it was doomed from the beginning. And all Frost did was basically say it's over, it's done. They don't care. They don't care about they don't realize that they need viewers, and then they insulted the viewers and made sure more ran away.
Let's go to your chat questions. And I had nothing to do with the new G4, but I was rooting for it to succeed. And really, while my documentary is more about the legacy of the old G4, we do talk about the new G4 in the doc and the return. Okay. So it's in the documentary. And you'll get to see that documentary. I literally just finished it. And in fact, we're still making some slight tweaks to it. The documentary will be released sometime next year. There'll be a special edition Blu-ray. Those go to the Kickstarter backers first. And then we'll have a commercially available version of the Blu-ray, and then on video on demand, and eventually a streaming service. So look for it. Finishing a movie was one thing, and now releasing a movie, that's like a whole other job. And I really can't wait for you all to see it. But I kind of feel like putting a little bit of distance between, like let the dust settle on the new G4, and then I think people will be ready to see this documentary. But let's go to some comments and questions here. Doran, is it true Morgan Webb and Olivia Munn backed out at the last minute on coming back to G4? I don't know.
I don't think they were. I mean, they did the Thanksgiving special that came out just after the announcement.
They did this Thanksgiving special, and then they were negotiating with Olivia Munn to come back to attack the show, and then it did not happen. That is all I know. Buford T. Justice for 1999. Chris, I have to disagree with you. Frost was an attack. She was given legitimate criticism about her factually inaccurate takes. She was exposed when she was off script. Criticism isn't the same as being attacked. Yes, I appreciate the correction. She gave some false information. She was corrected. Then I think she was offended by it. But I do 100% believe that people in the chat were saying negative things about her.
Oh, absolutely.
By the way, people say negative things about me all the time. They say it on Twitter. They say it on comments under videos, not just on my channel, but when I appear on other channels, they appear in our chat. I don't care. I think you should be allowed to say those things. Also, I don't let it ruin my day. You need to have, if you're gonna do this, and you're gonna be in front of people, expect some pushback. I don't like when people say things that are like, look, first of all, criticize my opinion all you want. You differ in my opinion about a movie, fine. Saying things like you have awful hair or Gore, like what, I mean, I don't, personal attacks, I tend to just like, whatever, man. I don't give a shit, but,
being online, you're going to get attacked. And also, you are more likely to post a negative comment than a positive comment. And when all you start negative comments, you're going to believe that's how everybody feels. Right.
Michael Bomer, who's a member. Oh my God, what have I joined? It's the Film Threat Livecast. Johnny Fuerte. People hate Frost because her name sounds like a Blade villain. Yeah. Gore's hair looks like he saw a ghost, says Fur to the Future. Yeah, like in an old Three Stooges movie. Like, there you go. They just
see, like you're getting criticism now.
And Tina says, haha, you interrupted Alan with the Allens. That may happen. I try to do it when Alan is at his most profound and serious. So that's it. Silver Axe 13. Channels like this are the new G4. It's that simple. Mm-hmm. Actually, that's kind of the premise of my documentary, is that G4 existed at a time that, we needed something like G4. We needed a thing. We needed a place where we could go and say, hey, it's not so weird that I have like I'm in a room with like, all these action figures with piles of long boxes of comics. Am I a weirdo? Should I feel shameful about that? It's like, no, you're not alone. A lot of people have that. CD Stein 69 says, that's the problem, Chris. Most of these new media personalities don't have that ability to have humor. They take themselves too serious for what they do. They act like they're saving lives. Well, that's the industry. That's Hollywood does that. Hollywood is the thing that tells you, this is what used to annoy me. Like when I first moved to, the West Coast from Michigan, where I'm from in the Midwest, that people thought that what they were doing was super important. Making television, this is the most important thing. No, it's not that important. It's not that important. If all this goes away, there's no entertainment, we're going to be fine. We need people, it's like that studio executive. I know I've given this anecdote before. The studio executive, I believe it was at Sony, that was so tired of people coming to him like it was the end of the world, everything was a crisis, that he put up a giant sign behind his desk that said, relax, we make shit people don't need. Relax, we make shit people don't need. That's TV, that's movies. You don't need it. You need food to survive. We need a lot of things that are way more important. Okay. So I do believe that storytelling serves a purpose, right? Storytelling is important in that sense, but it's not the most important thing. So yeah, we'll keep going with these comments here. Here we go. Sanya Kumari for 100 of something. I'm sorry. Kantara is all about demigods, nature versus human, pro 2A, mass action, traditional culture. We shot entirely in a forest with very less VFX. Yeah, just like RRR. So there, fill out your yeah, no, I will see Kantara. It's on my list. So Anahigo says, hell yeah, Chris, with beers. Ethan Snyder says, fix the mistakes of the past means culture is rapidly deteriorating into authoritarianism. That was the comment I've made, like no comment about anything she said. But when she said we need to fix the past, or she mentioned that, the management wanted to fix the past. What do you mean fix the past? Like Olivia Munn that made the network popular, or Kevin Pereira and his sense of humor? Fix the past? Are you ashamed of that? That's what they call presentism. You've heard the term presentism, where you judge the past based on how we feel, how we judge the present. You're sort of judging the past by present day ideals and values, and it's stupid. You have to have some kind of understanding.
I think she was just referring specifically to you.
I definitely take it as just about me. No, I take offense.
Well, it's not the ladies. It's not Kevin because he came back. So if you dwindle it down, it was just you.
I am 100% sure, only because we collected hundreds of hours of footage to make this documentary. I looked at a lot of things I did on that show. I was like, oof, wow, yeah.
That'll get you canceled.
I don't care. It will get me canceled, I guess, but also I've never cared about that. I don't care. If you go back and even read old issues of Film Threat, you'll see I don't care about that. Soma BT, old school G4 forever.
Hey, by the way, just hold on to that one, but that is the Indian rupee symbol.
Indian rupee. Oh, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay. Right. Amanda Nowicki says the seal clapping co-host made things worse. Nobody bothered to change the subject, or as Chris said, make a joke. Look, I understand, just because like I have had people like say unkind things to me online, but also I'm in a position where I get to do, speak for a living, talk to you and talk about something I love, which is movies. Okay. The fact that I am so grateful to be able to do this. Like, wait, so I get to see independent films, talk about independent films, support those movies by discussing them. And then also, like, I can't tell you how like grateful I am. So if I've got to take an unkind remark every once in a while, or even more than once in a while, I'll take it. Goes with the territory. And I understand how that can wear on some people's mental fortitude, but don't blame the audience. You are so lucky to do this. I feel incredibly lucky. I get to listen to Alan. Both before the stream and on the stream, and after the stream we chat. So we should start recording our post-stream.
Or maybe we shouldn't.
Yeah, but yeah, I think what the old G4 would have done. Olivia Munn made a mistake once. This is in the documentary, not a spoiler. It was one of my favorite moments from the old G4. Olivia Munn will just read the teleprompter like Ron Burgundy. And she was just like, okay. And she was telling a news story about Mick Hammer and, Mick Hammer. And it was just like Kevin just like pretended he didn't hear it. And it's like, okay, whatever. And then it's like, it's MC Hammer. And the first thing Olivia did was laugh. She laughed. She laughed at herself. And this is what I find, like, certain people, and I don't think I can work with anyone or be friends with anyone who takes themselves too seriously. And I'll say this, that the way that my family, even, this is probably just the way I was brought up, my family, we all have a good sense of humor. Anyone takes themselves too seriously or is getting angry, we will mock them in a fun way. And I think having a good sense of humor, I think, is good for your physical and mental health. I think it's a good way to dispel or to diffuse drama or serious situations. And I learned it from my grandparents. They were always playing jokes on us. They were always like something would they diffuse it like humor. You learn to laugh. I mean, and this is all proven medically. If you have a good sense of humor, it actually contributes to better health. And I see a certain type of person that doesn't have a sense of humor about themselves. That is a person that doesn't meet a good end. I think that's when you see people that are just really constantly wound too tight and angry or whatever. I think that's going to contribute to just a poor mental and physical health. So Keith Bolton, regarding comedy, I noticed a few years ago that people born in the 90s pause after you tell them a joke to decide if they are allowed to laugh at the subject matter. That's funny.
That's so true. Yeah.
Allowed to. Who cares? I think that like I've always had this like who gives a fuck attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you have that, you can't hurt me. Go try. They tried to cancel me a couple times. I don't give a shit. Go for it. Good luck. There's a lot of chat questions here, so bear with me. I will get through them. We still have a couple movies to talk about, Devotion and Halloween Ends, but I want to get through these. Questions are really good too. And questions and comments. Spidey Sensei 72 says, if I get my hands on a physical copy of Attack of the Doc, can I get mine autographed by Chris? I will make that available as an option. It'll more than likely take longer, but we are currently working on the Blu-ray. The intention is to there's going to be about 20 hours of extras on it. We recorded the commentary the other day. We have deleted scenes, about an hour of deleted scenes with also commentary. And then we have taken sort of cut down of all the interviews for every interview subject that appears in the documentary. We have their like mostly unedited comments and thoughts. So you can kind of listen to it like a podcast. That was originally our intention. So, and I'm personally producing the Blu-ray. Scott says, hopefully this is a signal that the overly woke story arc has reached its peak and is now waning. Genuine content like Film Threat is the future. I hope so. But like, look, I'm not the only, there's a lot of people doing genuine content. But what my feeling is I don't understand why Hollywood feels the need to continue to lean into something that is will lead to profit loss and or companies going under and or something like Batgirl getting shelved. Yeah. Like, how many times does this need to happen before Hollywood wakes up and says, maybe we should stop doing that?
Well, see, that's when it will change. I believe that this will all change when people start standing up against it. Right now we're just kind of being quiet and just kind of complaining about it. But someone just needs to say, hey, that person said something that wasn't woke.
Really gay. I'm super duper gay. I'm gayer than a
Hank VP says G4 failed because they didn't have an Allen.
Yeah, someone to abuse online.
Buford T. Justice for $4.99. Yeah, I disagree with Allen 75% of the time, but I still love the guy. You don't have to love Allen. You can dislike him. It's okay. Allen isn't going to call me a racist if I disagree with him.
No, I will call you racist because of your name. That's why.
But see, this is the thing. I mean, look, Allen, we've worked together for like 5 years now. More than 5 years?
Probably more.
But I knew you before that, but whatever. We, started working together, and then you kind of like, I remember you came in as like a writer, and it was like, this guy's really good. I'm going to make him the managing editor. Now you're the editor-in-chief of the site. I just like, look, I'm support staff for the website, right? The website is this great group of writers, editors, all led by Allen. If you don't read filmthreat.com, you got to read it on a daily basis to check out what Allen is cooking. But yeah, no, look, I also don't care if I disagree with Allen on a movie view. Like, that's just, what do I want? A clone of myself to just echo exactly what I think? Why would I want that? And that's half the fun is the conversation, not just the Allen videos. Allen's going to get me back at some point.
I know, one day.
No, are you kidding?
Yeah, I know. Well,
Undermining Alan's points is an art. Chris is an artist. Okay, I'll take that. Simon Pegg said She-Hulk was as funny as Blazing Saddles, which ironically made me laugh as hard as Blazing Saddles does. Says Clayton Homer, who's a member. Thank you for that. I will say, Blazing Saddles, what I love is, one, I love that movie. Two, yeah, there's some things in it that like maybe today is questionable, but I will say this. What Blazing Saddles proves is farts are always funny.
yeah.
The big, like, you know, around the campfire scene, they're all farting. And I don't care what age, if you're a man, and I'm sorry, this is going to sound like a sexist statement here. It's going to sound sexist. Men, no matter how old, you're a boy, you're a man, if you're 5 years old, if you're 50 years old, farts are still funny. And I feel like this is a male thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. If there are any women that like fart jokes, please let us know.
I will.
Like when you,
I will say if She-Hulk and Megan Thee Stallion were farting while they were twerking, I think we'd have a different opinion of the show.
do yourself a favor. I started going down this weird rabbit hole of all these reaction videos of people today, like millennials and Gen Z, watching Blazing Saddles, and they kind of show their reactions to certain scenes. I can't believe how many there are. And it's mostly black YouTubers watching Blazing Saddles and then reacting to everything. It's great. I went down a rabbit hole and I couldn't believe it. There's like a ton of videos, just Blazing Saddles reaction. And it's awesome. It's a really interesting social experiment. So yeah, thank you for your comment, Clayton. Thank you for being a member. Call sign Alucard for $9.99 says, just FYI, if either of you are in Minnesota, you are both invited to our D&D game. I have been running it since 2019 after I came back from last deployment. Thank you for your service. Bunch of 40-year-olds having a good time. Yeah, see, that's how I started watching shows like FNT. It's just like, oh, that's people talking shit to each other. That's like exactly like when I used to go to the video store. When I say video store, it was a laserdisc store called Laser Library in Pasadena on Green Street. I went there for years and rented laserdiscs. I would always get in a fight with the clerk who was at the store. His name is Anthony Miele. We became friends, but we would get in these impassioned arguments, yelling about directors and movies, which would get like a crowd, right? This is like before podcasts. This is in like the late 90s, early 2000s. Then same thing with going to a comic book store. You know, you get in these, you go to the comic book. It takes you 5-10 minutes to buy your comics. 10 minutes, you're out, but you stay there for hours. Why? For the conversation. We're just doing the same thing with movies online. But yeah, thank you for the invitation. If we do get out there, we'll definitely do some meetups. We'll definitely do like a film threat meetup. We are going to be, I know Alan and I are actually going to be at Los Angeles Comic-Con, which I believe is the first weekend of December. I talked to the organizers. We're doing a couple panels, Alan.
Okay. I mean, I'll definitely be there. Absolutely.
Do you need a badge for your daughter?
I could, yes. The two of us could use a badge.
I'll get you a badge.
She loves cons now.
Good. Love it. Look up clips of Leslie Nielsen farting on talk shows and interviews, says question.
I did that a while ago. It's hilarious.
Wes RM1 says, I think the public is ready for another Blazing Saddles type movie. If someone made like a Blazing Saddles, but leaned into wokeness, and also, hey, feel free to make fun of both sides. Mm-hmm. Feel free to make fun of both sides, right?
Just be funny. Just be funny.
And funny to me, humor gets at a truth. When you see an audience burst into laughter, it's because something is true. There is a scene in this movie Tar, starring Cate Blanchett. There's a scene where she kind of takes down a woke kid that's in her class, where she's teaching. She's one of the things she's doing is she's teaching and training the next generation of musicians, and she kind of like takes down a woke guy and a kind of woke kid in her class, and it gets an incredible reaction in the theater. So,
also, the latest Beavis and Butthead movie,
Front Row Flynn. Hey, shout out to Chris Flynn for $1.99. Thank you, Christopher Flynn. Front Row Flynn. Subscribe to his channel. Christopher Flynn goes to Q&As of special screenings of movies, and he shoots the Q&As. Usually he's got a great seat. Chris Flynn also is a producer on Attack of the Doc. He also contributed footage to the doc. that was used, like BTS footage that Chris shot when he was on the set of Attack of the Show. And really just his contribution is amazing. So Attack of the Doc needs farts. Is it too late? We could do a secret like audio track where they're just the movie with farts. That is something we could do. Call sign Alucard for $9.99. Isn't History of the World Part 2 being worked on by Mel Brooks? I don't know, but that was always the joke. It's like History of the World Part 1. I remember as a kid thinking, well, when is Part 2 coming out? The joke is there was never intended to be a Part 2. Shelby AC is a member. Film threat like watching Two Brothers. Tony Bowers, the phrase sticks and stones has been replaced by words are violence. So that kind of sums up the problem, in my opinion.
Also, silence is violence too.
Yeah, so if you do nothing, I don't know. I just think that they paint you in a corner where you're wrong no matter what you do. And I think that this is all, to me, about a power grab. It's about like dismissing the past, but co-opting elements of the past and wearing it like a suit to sort of like whether it comes to like, you know, IP. That's why I don't like when they remake a movie like Halloween and just call it Halloween, because then you have to refer to the movies by the year that they were made, which I think is really also very uncreative. Scott says, hopefully this is a signal that the overly woke story arc has reached and is now. I already read that. Sorry about that. Amanda Nowicki, the seal clapping co-host. I think I read that one. Help me out here. Help me out. Was Frosk right though? AOTS hired a Layla Kaylee and a Playboy model as on-air hosts. Says Spidey Sensei 72. I do think that she had a point. She made the point in completely a wrong way. Mm-hmm. There are different ways. Like, I really think that, to me, the best way to get a message, this is why memes are so popular. Whatever you think about memes and comedy is really good joke, is a complex idea woven into a short sentence that requires you to have a lot of knowledge to know why it's funny. Okay. That's really important. And I think that memes are the visual version of that, right? There's something humorous about it, or there is a truth that's woven in. And, but I think that's a better way to express an idea. And
people like to look at pretty people.
People like to look at people that are pretty. Yeah. Now, I'm glad that most people listen to this and don't actually watch, or you have it on your TV, but you're folding laundry or doing something else while you listen to Alan and I. But Inquisitor Tight Bazone says it was also the blatant hypocritical way they went with Frost's rant a few days after they had Amaranth do a skit in a ball pit wearing a skimpy bikini. Yeah, when they did that, that was sort of like it felt to me. I have no direct knowledge of this, but it felt like to me that there was some internal push and pull. There may have been people that are like, hey, we should be like the old G4 because people liked that. And people were like, no, we have to make it the modern G4 and lecture our audience.
I mean, one thing I've noticed, like if you watch Frosk afterwards, that you saw them try to upgrade her appearance, her hair, her clothes. I think the Amaranth thing was definitely an attempt to salvage the damage and maybe get a boost, but it just fell flat. The jokes around Amaranth fell flat.
Okay, let's continue with the comments here. Silence is violence, fart joke, says Alan Horkin. Whoever tries to run the next G4 needs to keep politics out of it. G4, IGN, and Rooster Teeth were what nerds talked about when I was in high school. The politics ruined them all. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Frost might be the deflection for why G4 failed. Mismanagement appears to be the cause of why the channel failed.
Yeah, but they will tell you it was racist fans, misogynistic fans that caused it to fail.
There you go. Yeah. Olivia Munn, so DeJinx1 says Olivia Munn had a charm, personality, and beauty that drew in many people and kept them while she was there. Here's what I think Olivia Munn had such a talent for, and I was lucky enough to work with her for years. I'm curious what she thinks she'll think about the movie when she sees it. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
But she had such a great sense of humor about herself, and she was incredible at improv, right? And the other thing that I knew she did, she was very aware of keeping the audience in mind while she was on camera. I got to keep them entertained. I don't want them to change a channel. We're going to do this. You know, if things went right, it was great. If things went badly, it was still fun. You know, they still made it fun because Kevin and Olivia had such amazing chemistry. When things went wrong, it actually was a good thing. And they, so.
And she was game for everything, it seemed like.
Yep. First time I get one of my comments read live. Actually hilarious to hear Chris say, tight bizone. It's French Canadian slang for small people. Tit bison. Tit bison? Is it tit bison? For small people. Small peepee. Oh, small peepee. Tit bison. Inquisitor tit bison. You know, I love French. It's a beautiful language. Fur to the future, I like this stream more than any other, even drinkers. Gore is the OG, and Alan has the nips of power. I always feel better when watching this compared to others. Look, there's a lot of dark things happening in the world right now. There are a lot of dark things. There's a lot of bad content right now that for some reason feels the need to vilify the audience. So I try to always remain positive about things, or at least like, hey, if this movie sucks, here's something else you should take a look at. Like RRR. Chris Flynn is back with a comment. Front row Flynn for $4.99. News broke. I was still in Tucson wearing a G4 t-shirt, RIP. And hearing Munn was paid 7-figure 2-year deal, only did Thanksgiving reunion show. Ooh, that's an interesting news. Wow, but good for her. Good for her. She should get you know what? Worth every penny.
Mm-hmm.
Worth every penny. That reunion show is like up to 1 million views now.
Yeah. See, they
Good.
couldn't get the audience they needed, and you needed stuff like that. You need Olivia Munn in your show, really.
Thank you, Chris. Blair Butler was awesome. I miss seeing her on television, says Spidey Sensei 72. Blair Butler, first of all, I love Blair because we would talk about comics, whatever. She was amazing. But she was more of a behind the scenes person. She was, the sense I got from her, she was less comfortable on camera. And she wrote a movie called The Invitation. She wrote the screenplay for that film. So congratulations to Blair Butler. Love that about her. Inquisitor Tit Bison. She took the insults way too personal. Overprotecting people makes them weak, and her generation is a prime example of it. They get so emotional from any criticism as they take it as being insulted. Yeah, you got to grow rhino skin. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. You got to grow rhino skin. I think the reason that I just don't care now is because back in the 80s and 90s when I was doing Film Threat, we did a column in Film Threat called Hate Mail. And literally what I didn't like was other movie magazines would always post like, I loved your story. You're great. I love reading Premiere Magazine. I love Film Comment. Your magazine is the best. American Film Magazine is the great. Boring. I only ran negative letters in our letters column, but I always had the last word. So all the letter section of the old print version of Film Threat magazine, it was all negative letters, and then I would write like snarky responses. And because of that, people made fun of me back then. I always thought it was funny. People would send in, this is before memes, they would send in pictures of me. They'd put like my head on something. It was, I thought it was funny. I don't take it personal. I don't care. I hate this generational thing. You raise them, asswipes. It's your fault. It's pronounced aswipes. Toxic Waltz N8 says that. Look, can I just tell you this? My kids aren't like that. Okay. They grew up in the 90s, didn't raise them that way. Kept them away from Hollywood weirdos. My kids are not like other kids their age. I think that presents a little bit of difficulty for them in the sense that they're surrounded by people that kind of are of a hive mind. And I think but yeah, my kids aren't like that.
Yeah. I mean, if I can raise my kid to not be a victim in life, I will have succeeded. And I think that's where, the victims get a lot of attention, and it's hard not to fall into that trap.
Yeah, that doesn't. I don't care about stuff like that. That doesn't play with it. I mean, like my whole thing, my goal was when I knew I was going to be a dad, I was going to be a young dad. I was going to have kids. I lived in Los Angeles at the time. My goal was to not raise two kids that would become assholes.
Mm-hmm.
So asshole. That's my job, is to be the asshole. I was the strict. I was the dad that. You should be a little afraid of me. I think that if you're going to have good kids, they should have a healthy fear of their parents. A healthy fear. What is that? What do I mean by healthy fear? They should be afraid if they do something either morally, ethically wrong, if they do drugs in an irresponsible way, if they put themselves at risk, they should fear their parents. They should fear disappointment if they come home with a report card that is less than at least good to very good. At least A's and B's. Come on.
Yeah. Tough love.
Yeah. You know what? I'm sorry. I mean, that's the way I was raised. I had a fear of my parents. I wanted to make sure that like I was doing the right thing. And doing the right thing when they're not looking. Now, did I make mistakes? Did I do wrong things? Yes, I did. Did I pay for those things? Yes, I did. Yeah, punishment. I don't know. I just saw the way that kids were being raised by parents in LA. And I thought the Los Angeles, sort of the West Coast parenting was weak. They were weak. And it was really coming from the Midwest and seeing like, what are you doing? Letting your kid run around, letting your just do that. Like, no, like my kids were incredibly well behaved. People who didn't like children loved my kids when they were younger. Now I did do a lot of things with my kids where I would use them to play jokes. There's a video that got pulled down off YouTube that was me in the 90s with my daughter. And I took a thing like a Miller beer bottle. I put apple juice in it and I shook it up so it had foam, and I was feeding her. It looked like I was giving my daughter beer, and people got mad. I posted it and it was like irresponsible. Anyways, it wasn't actually beer, it was apple juice. But that video was taken down. G4 was so much fun in the heyday. Really enjoyed so much of the network. Shelby AC, you're gonna love the movie then.
Yeah.
The Attack of the Dock was made for the people who love the old G4. CD Stein 69 says, you guys run the perfect edge of optimism, but tell it like it is when things are crap. One of the best on YouTube in your genre, even with Alan cashing checks from the studios. Alan never shares that money with me.
I know, but critics, the payroll of a critic, you have to cash these checks. There's just no way to survive on a critic's payroll.
Back to our comments here. Fur to the Future says, remember that old G4 show where each was a doc about the making of a game? They had an Oddworld one for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And others. Yeah, Oddworld. Was it Abe's Oddworld, right? That was the game. I love that game. Little platform game.
That was the appeal of G4 to me. It was the geeks' take on the news. And you weren't getting that on the news networks.
All right, this is going to be pick a protein. That should be a short or a rant. Joel Rolstein, thank you, Scary Stories and NYC. Joel Rolstein for 5. If we could learn to properly forgive and apologize, I think America's prejudices would be reduced by a great margin. What do you think? I 100% agree. I mean, I have seen friends just the way this country has become so divided is disgusting to me. Never seen anything like it. And when I see my friends just vilify people that didn't vote the way they like, I'm like, yeah, why are you doing that? Those are my fellow Americans. Okay. I really don't like that. And so I've seen this. The rhetoric is so amped up, and I blame social media and incredibly immature people being taken too seriously, meaning like children in adult-sized bodies. I don't know if half of what's on Twitter is real. I think a lot of it is bots, as Elon Musk has said. I think additionally, a lot of it is bots, and then people that are under the age of 18 that just don't know how to relate to other people, who have spent their entire lives on the internet and don't know how to have like a face-to-face, eye-to-eye conversation with somebody. I try to think very clearly when I post online. I'm not a big Twitter guy. I usually post and ghost, but I like to, if I'm going to post something, this is something I would actually say to your face if I'm posting it, including if I say fuck off, you probably deserved it, and I would say that to your face. I deserve that one. Thanks, Joel Rolstein. And Alan, any comments on that?
Yeah, so apparently Adam Sessler is still blocking you?
No, he doesn't block me. He unfollowed me.
He unfollowed you. Okay.
And Adam Sessler unfollowed me. I don't know why. I think it's because when the Frost thing happened, no one from G4 talked about it. And I think I was like, the Frost thing happened, and then I was on FNT like that week. And but I'm very honest. If you ask me a question, or either in person or on a stream, I feel obliged to tell you the truth. I feel like when I'm in front of you and I'm here, I am obliged to tell you, the truth as I see it. I hate that term, my truth, but here's the truth as I see it, right? And I will tell. So people ask me questions and I answered honestly. And I think I said at the time that I felt sorry for Frost, because clearly comments online got to her. Mm-hmm. And she got probably some bad advice from people at G4. The bad advice being basically to do this rant, which was partially scripted and then partially improv. That was bad advice. So at the same time, you have to be accountable for what you say. And it just unraveled and got worse. So I really think that you're not going to see me vilify even the other side, whichever side. I think the extremes of both sides are kind of little nuts, but boy, I really relate to that meme of like, it's the meme of like where the left and right is. And it's like, I didn't really change, like the guidelines changed. Elon Musk posted this. Who did that? A really, really guy started following because he posts these like, anyways, I'll remember that at some point. I'll get that one. And just to show, see, I got a sense of humor.
Sexy.
Very sexy. Okay. More comments here. Front row Flynn, Buck 99. Did you see Adam Sessler in Lumberjack Man? Great. I didn't.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what it is. Let's find it. Raylo Normie for $4.99. The woke mob is a self-eating serpent. They take away their own power with the overuse of isms, rocks thrown in glass houses. Hail fellowship. Well, thank you for that, Raylo Normie. Yeah, I have seen that.
Yeah, I've always said, the right looks for allies, the left looks for traitors.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what's going on here.
Turo says, Turo's a member. Thank you. Chris's dad would throw him off a building onto a flagpole if he misbehaved. Yeah, that would happen. Pedram, is Attack of the Dock worth watching if you've never watched G4? 100%. We definitely tested it with people who tested it. I showed it to people, friends of mine who are filmmakers, who never even heard of Attack of the Show. So it's kind of like this, like, best of, and then the behind the scenes of like those moments, right? So if you've never heard of it, and if you have seen it, it's going to remind you of a lot of the reasons why you did like it.
Well, I mean, I have to think the class you spoke to in Tucson, I can't imagine a lot of those knew of G4 at that time.
Well, that's true. That was sort of like I want to show it to, people, students, in their 20s. Like, I want to see like, well, what do you guys think of this? It was very helpful. And we've submitted to some other film festivals that would be next year. And if I get in, cool. If not, I'm just going to release the movie, self-release the movie. We're kind of working out a date right now of when to release it. And I'm very excited to announce that soon. Rob the Doodler, there's too many good YouTube channels that filled the void that G4 left and even surpassing it. Yep. The Jinx won. The eye candy was the only thing that could give G4 an edge, but instead got Frost. Andy has become a YouTube member. Thank you for that. Griffin, sorry, please, but the sexism was a front so she could hide behind the fact that people were calling her out on bad opinions and lack of knowledge. Hey, PS5 sold twice as well as you said it would. Yes, I agree. I think that was part of it, but not all of it. And I can only speculate, right? Like, that's why I'm like, I am sort of low, I kind of reserve, like, I don't know anything about that. Hard to have an opinion, but I do believe that she was, she was her. Look, I know that like the female talent on the old G4 was received online harassment, even to the point that there was harassment that it was a rule at the company that the female talent at G4 had to be escorted to their cars by security because a fan approached. Look, it's just like, there's the parking lot. That's where we park our cars. It's kind of a public parking lot. Anybody could go there. And there was a rule. So I am aware all the female talent that was on the old G4 had to deal with that. And we had a talent coordinator, Lori Cantor-Finn, who really did a good job of making sure the talent was well taken care of. And the female, this was not a problem with the male talent. They didn't care about us. We didn't get security or escorts for our car, but they did have security for like Olivia and Blair and whatnot. When we did like San Diego Comic-Con, among other things, they would always have a security person. So I believe her when she said that, but I think the best way, best insecticide is light. Like, okay, well, show us. But Griffin, I understand your point. Yeah. And appreciate your comment. Not the Batman. She may be right, but she was right about the exception to the rule. A few bad apples. See, I agree with that. It's just always a few bad apples. What are you going to do? Just don't give them the oxygen. Don't give them the attention. Don't feed a troll. Don't feed a troll. Just let the troll go away. After a while, they're just going to go away. They're going to get bored because you don't pay attention to them. She was right about the exception to the rule. A few bad apples shouldn't make the rest of the people pay, and she wanted everyone else to pay for a few bad apples. Well said. G-Man for 5. I don't think Frost even cared about the sexism. What really got to her is that she wasn't as well liked as the other hosts.
There's probably a little truth to that, yeah.
That could be part of it. That could be part of it. I mean, I do think that's why I think YouTube, like the people that become popular, they have something. Okay. They have something. Personality, some charisma, something that's authentic about them. The people that are popular on YouTube become popular for a reason, and some people are less popular. It's the way it goes. Solomon Thornton, always good to hear from you. It sucks that G4 ended the way it did, but it is very similar to what happened with She-Hulk, MCU, Star Wars. Both accuse their audience of being toxic, and that kills customer loyalty. Absolutely.
It also makes you immune from criticism, so you can't objectively look at your product anymore.
Exactly.
It's their fault. It's not our fault. We're doing great things.
The Alex Zorba, you can't make a show for people you hate. Yeah, I mean, look, I love my audience. I like to hang out with my audience. I tell my audience what movies I'm going to so you can meet me there. I like to, look, you get me in front of someone who loves movies as much as I do, we're probably going to talk too much, or I'll talk too much, and we'll have a good time. So yeah, if someone appreciates what I do, holy shit, I feel so grateful for that. So thank you. Yeah, you can't make a show for people you hate. It got frostbitten, says the Inquisitor Tite Bison. Am I saying it right, or is that a little pretentious? The lesson of G4 is don't tell your viewers to not watch they will listen to you, says Clayton Homer, who's a member. Amanda Nowicki, finding out you got fired from a job on Twitter is worse than being fired by text message. Yeah, even the way that they did it, like,
I mean, how does that happen?
I've been lucky that in my career, I have worked for myself. I've been entrepreneurial, right? Film Thread is an entrepreneurial venture, right? It's a company, and I'm working for myself, right? But I've also worked for big companies in the past. I worked for big publishing companies. I worked for, I did a show for FX. I did a show for IFC, Stars. I've done, and then I worked for G4, and working for a corporation. Yeah, their tendency was not. The tendency is they think about people last, is my opinion. Fur to the future, seeing that article that G4 was closing was easy on the eyes.
It wasn't meant to be easy on the eyes.
Yeah, it wasn't meant to be easy on the eyes for you. It's funny how it's just bizarre how that speech has become like quotable. like I can say it's weird, and you know what I'm talking about because it was so repeated. Mulvey 747, I feel like Alan is a dealer in high stakes underground poker games when he's not working for Film Thread. All right. CD Stein 69 says 812 in the chat, but only 566 likes. Hit that like button like you're watching Allison's.
Oh my God. I couldn't believe that scene.
That was weird. Why do you
think
that
weird?
was?
It's weird.
It's weird. It's weird. So there you go. Back to the comments here. Thank you, CD Stein 69. Jazz Tech is a member. Attack of the Doc was great. I laughed. I cried. I peed my pants. Oh, wait. I just didn't that last bit. Highly recommended. Thanks, Chris. Glad you liked the poster.
Oh, hey.
Great meeting you. Hey, thank you so much. I met you and your son. We had a great conversation. We're all hanging out. My girlfriend was there. We hung out at the bar. I had way too many vodka sodas. It was a great rooftop. We sort of moved the venue, which was unfortunate, rooftop screening, but it was covered. So the venue ended up it was great. We did that. And then the party was right after. And I think we all had a bunch of free food, but thank you for the poster sitting right here in my office, Jazz Tech. I don't know if that's you or your son. I think but that was awesome. So thank you for that. If there are no other final thoughts and final questions, look, how I feel about the new G4 is I wish it had succeeded. I really wish it had succeeded. And it's unfortunate that it ends this way because I do think that the original G4 took a couple years to find its sea legs and to find its identity. And the new G4, there are a lot of talented people there, the completionists, Chasm, they're people that I personally really like. And I think that the potential was there at the beginning, and it's sad to see it end this way. So that's all I'll say. I was not rooting for it to fail. Okay. I really wanted to see it succeed. And, I hope that when Attack of the Doc comes out, you'll get to see it at a film festival. We might do a special advanced screening at LA Comic-Con. Talking details right now. We'll see about that. But I really, to me, the legacy of G4 is really important to me because I was a part of the legacy of the original G4, and that sort of united a nerd fellowship. This is why we're still having these conversations. Why are we still talking to each other on YouTube? Why are we still having these conversations? And I think part of it is Attack of the Show and G4, made people feel like that they weren't necessarily weirdos for having, being passionate about interests, right? Like look, when I was younger, I'll say this. I can't tell you how many meals I cooked. Why am I cooking a meal at home? Why would I go out to dinner and spend all that money? I'm going to save it for comic books. I'm going to save it for DVDs. You know, I didn't go out to eat all that much. And the reason was because I wanted to save my money for what was really important to me. I'm literally the opposite of a foodie. I am not a foodie. I don't care a lot about food. I eat food. You know why I eat food? I eat food so I don't die. That's why I eat food. Not a big foodie fan. You know what I am? I'm a movie. I love movies, and I love what happens to our brains when we experience a film that moves us, that changes us, that makes us look at the world a little differently, that opens our eyes to something, that tells a story that can be healing in some way. So I love storytelling in movies. And yeah, I don't know why I just said I'm not into food. I'm just not into food. Alan?
My nipples look like milk duds.
Come on. All right. Let's get serious for a minute here. We still have some more chat questions and comments here. So let me get to those. And I really appreciate all of your thoughtful comments and questions. Just, look, I don't know. I just appreciate it. Joel Rolstein, ever making plans for a screening or show in Atlanta? I want to. I talked to Dragon Con about coming out there and doing a screening of Attack of the Doc. That might happen next year. So I would like to do a screening in Atlanta. So that might happen. It might happen. There's also the Atlanta Film Festival. I could apply to the Atlanta Film Festival. I was there as a judge once. So, look, I'm going to try my best because then what happened, like after the screening in Tucson, we're like a round table, like here, people like, in fact, we're making one change specifically based on feedback we got from that screening. Some feedback like, oh, we could make that change. So we are making some tweaks. Orlando screening at the Enzian. That's right. Front row Flynn. That's where the Florida Film Festival is. Deanno, thumbs up, £5. Appreciate that. Zio Reimer for 10. Did you ever think that the Film Threat YouTube channel would be such a massive success this quickly? Glad that you can reach such a large audience. I don't know, because the Film Threat YouTube channel, we started in 2000. Well, it's been around for a while, but we got serious about it in 2018, and all we did was upload trailers. That didn't get any traction. Then it really only started taking off because Alan and I did a lot of podcasts. We did watch parties. Kind of nothing caught on until we started doing live streams. It's really once we included the audience in the conversation, and we only started doing this in January. That's when our YouTube channel began to finally get some traction. Any comments on that, Alan?
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. I think the success of all these channels are about the engagement, and it seems to work. I mean, it makes sense that it works. I should say it that way.
Why are you so short in that?
I was going to say that. That's the only false thing about that is I'm not that short.
Well, look, Zio Reimer, thank you for your comment and question there. I will say this, my not so hidden agenda with the Film Threat YouTube channel is that I want to let you know that there are other choices other than movies that Hollywood makes. Mm-hmm. So while we will cover the Hollywood movies and give our take on it, Alan gives Black Adam a C, which means if I see it, it's probably an F. Probably. But also there's an alternative to Hollywood. This has been my mantra. I've been riding this from the beginning. From the beginning, I have been saying that you don't have to see all these crappy Hollywood movies, because I think that Hollywood movies are bad today for a different reason than they were bad 20 years ago or in the 90s, And there's always what's weird is what survives. Everything you think, God, movies were so great back then. There were a lot of bad movies made back when you thought movies were they only made good movies. The problem is only the good survives from that era. I think we're going to look back on this era of filmmaking, this of the last, like probably starting in 2016, and go, ooh, why did we make so many bad movies? Why are these movies so awful? Right? We're just going to look back on it that way. But really, only the best movies survive. Look up a movie called Best Defense, starring Eddie Murphy. It's a terrible movie. I remember seeing that in the 80s and thinking, this is freaking awful.
Wasn't Dudley Moore in that one too?
Yes, Dudley Moore and Eddie Murphy did a comedy together that is incredibly not funny. Guess who remembers that movie? Nobody. I remember. But the point is that what I'm trying to do with Film Threat, you know, and this is like basically kind of sticking to my guns, right? Because there are things we don't do, like we don't talk about drama all that much. We're pretty much just focused on film reviews that does divert into conversations about culture, conversations about politics. It does do that. I was talking to Dante James. Dante James is going to review the movie The Greatest Lie Ever Sold. He's going to, that's Candace Owens' documentary. No one is reviewing that movie. Dante is going to review it for the site and on our YouTube channel. He's going to come on as a special guest. Alan, you should actually reach out to Dante about his review.
Okay.
Because I talked to him last
Is that movie out yet, or?
It is out.
Okay.
It just came out. So in any case, my point is that Film Threat is about giving you an honest take of what's happening in Hollywood, but saying not this, that. So a lot of, you know, films from indie filmmakers or films that are not made in the United States, like Indian cinema or Korean cinema or Japanese films or, you know, UK horror or a French comedy horror, which we talked about last week. Some Like It Rare, which is out now. Some Like It Rare is a French horror comedy. There are good choices out there. Our job is to filter that and say, because I actually think at a certain point, if you're watching stuff that is bad all the time, or that makes you feel bad, and you're kind of depressed about it, like, it is sad to me how far Star Wars has fallen. That last movie, Rise of Skywalker, was terrible, and it only united the Star Wars audience in that everybody hated it. Everyone, you know, there was the audience that liked Force Awakens. I'm part of the audience that hated Force Awakens. There are people that liked The Last Jedi, people who hated The Last Jedi, but everybody hated The Rise of Skywalker. And there've been just, you know, the only highlights being, you know, parts of The Mandalorian, which kind of, this feels like Star Wars. It's there are parts of it that are worthwhile. In fact, on my Instagram, I actually have a Baby Yoda, like a 1-to-1 scale Baby Yoda from Sideshow Collectibles. I bought it for my girlfriend, and she's like, this doesn't fit in my home decor. So she was like, why don't you take it home? And I'm like, but I bought it for you. I literally got it for her for Christmas. Pre-ordered it. And then she's just like, I don't want it. So I dressed Grogu up for Halloween. I'm going to post those on my personal Instagram at that Chris Gore. I'm also that Chris Gore on Twitter if you want to see my comments. A few last comments here, and we'll move on. Call sign Alucard for $4.99. Not to actually go down a dark path. Do you know of anyone trustworthy currently filming and documenting the things happening in the Ukraine? No. I don't know what that's about, except that I'm supposed to support it, which tells me something is not what it seems. I have no opinion. I don't consider myself well informed. And I think whatever reporting is coming out of there, I don't know what it's about. I'm going to guess. Just a guess. It's all about money and money laundering. It's all about funding weapons. So when we say we're giving money to this country, a lot of times when money is given to another country, it comes with strings attached, meaning we're going to give you this money so you can give it back to us, so you can buy things that we manufacture here or by companies, American-owned companies. So no money is given freely. Okay, but I do think we live at a time that the unfortunate reality is and I don't talk about politics too much on Film Threat. I will talk about it if it comes up organically, because I think that talking about movies is a gateway to a conversation about almost anything: life, death, love, tragedy, religion, heartache, trauma, war, peace, everything. It's a gateway. That's the way in. But I don't know what's happening there, except I'm sure it's littered with corruption. And yeah. So Larry,
I'm just gonna say, I'm sure My Son Hunter is the only film that addresses what's going on.
Yeah. My Son Hunter, which Alan reviewed. Go to filmthreat.com. We review the movies that look, and we review movies on all sides of the political spectrum, by the way. Okay. Movies that might be, we have a lot of movies, a lot of documentaries that we cover, and both on the left and the right. We also have people who write for Film Threat that are on all sides of the political aisle. But also we have a writer who happens to be gay who wouldn't review Bros because he thought it was too stereotypical of the gay community, and this person's gay. So what does that tell you? We just get people who work. If you're going to work at Film Threat, you better have a sense of humor, or you're just not going to last. Larry for 2. Ishtar, 1987, infamous film standard bearer of bad. Yeah, that goes down in history as one of the worst ever. Ryan Landis, I think at least some of the success is showing from the Allens. Not sure if I completely agree with that.
It's like you're killing my adolescence every time you play that.
And Owen Klein. All right, Deanno for £5, member. Thank you. Best Defense was finished. Then the studio filmed Eddie's scenes and added them in afterwards. He did it to get out of a contract. Oh, that's funny. I didn't know that.
And because he was not in any scenes with Dudley Moore. It was just that whole tank shtick. And that was pretty much all his involvement in the entire film.
Excuse me. So thank you for that, Deanno. CD Stein, 69 for 10. Great chat today. Sometimes it's just great to interact with the audience. If you guys ever make it to the St. Louis Film Festival, if you guys ever make it to the St. Louis Film Festival, I know the best pubs and Italian restaurants in town. My treat. Have to bounce early. Thank you for that. I met James Gunn at the St. Louis Film Festival. I was on a panel with him about screenwriting. At the time, he was working for Troma, and he was at the festival. So I met him there. St. Louis Film Festival was great. What a great town. I went to a Rams game when I was in town, when it was the St. Louis Rams. Now they're the Los Angeles Rams. But St. Louis, great city. I love that festival. I don't know the people running it now, but yeah, I'm really curious what the reaction to Attack of the Dock is going to be. And part of it is like, I wonder what people, younger people are going to think about this. Okay. There's a whole thread in the doc of you can't do that anymore. And it'll be interesting. Thank you for that, CD Stein 69. Shucksy says, hey, Chris, I just sent you a self-addressed stamped envelope earlier today. Hopefully it'll get to you by next week. That's right. If you send us a self-addressed stamped envelope to Film Threat, 5042 Wilshire Boulevard, PMB 1500, Los Angeles, California, 90036. I will take that self-addressed stamp. It's basically you're taking an envelope, you're putting your return address on it and adding a stamp or other postage. If you send me a big envelope, I'll see if I've got some DVDs lying around, some other free stuff. I'll fill it with free stuff. You can also go to shop.filmthreat.com. You can get the shirt I'm wearing now, our sort of Film Threat Fight Club inspired shirt. Alan, what's your shirt?
Well, the Film Threat the 13th.
Yeah, love it. So yeah, I always like to get free stuff in the mail. I love to get like mail when I was a kid. I always loved to get mail, and I like to give back. I like to give away things for free. At the screening, I gave away free stuff because it's fun to do. I'm not very good at receiving gifts, love to give them. Love it. All right. Let's pivot. I'm exhausted after this last 2 hours, and also, being slightly hungover. But let's talk about Halloween Ends. Did you see it, Alan?
I have not seen it. I've not.
Why have you not seen it?
I'm not a big horror guy, and B, I've never seen any of the Halloween movies.
All right, then. All right. That's fine. It's fine.
But
fine, Alan.
But I will venture a guess that Black Adam is better than Halloween Ends.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Let's get into it. I saw Halloween Ends, and I saw it on Peacock, where it is currently playing. A Peacock subscription, $4.99. I basically saw the movie for $4.99. Now, I would have wished that I'd seen this in a movie theater. Unfortunately, I saw it on streaming, and I heard from very reliable sources, people that I follow. My friend Eric Weber, shout out to him on Midnight Movie Talk, his show. He really, really disliked Halloween Ends. And so everything I heard about Halloween Ends was incredibly negative. And here's what I'll say. It's not as bad as you've been hearing. It's also not that great either. Okay. But the fact that I saw it on streaming, and I just saw it all right, sign up, boom, watch it on the TV. It was fine. I'll say this. Here, there are things that are good. There are things that are bad. Let me tell you what I really liked about it. It's the continuing saga of Laurie Strode. It's years after she's, defeated Michael or thought that she's defeated Michael or he's gone. But what's interesting is that you see that the entire town, the entire city has been affected by this series of murders years later. It's affected people in terms of depression. People are paranoid in town that Michael is going to come back. There are a lot of there are accidental deaths. There are suicides. The town is like going through a collective mental anguish because of the events that occurred in the original Halloween. And it opens on these parents that are going out to a last minute Halloween party. They leave their young son with this kid named Corey, who's in his early 20s. He's the babysitter, kind of the friend of the family. He goes to babysit this kid, this young boy who is incredibly annoying. One thing I like, there's a scene at the beginning. They're hanging out together, the babysitter, right? This guy, Corey, and the little boy, and they're watching The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing, which I thought was great. It's a John Carpenter movie referenced in the franchise that started John Carpenter's career. That I thought was very entertaining. And he says, I think this is not age appropriate. You shouldn't be watching this. And the movie is The Thing. I like that. And then there is a horrific death of this young boy. I mean, in a horribly horrific way. Is it realistic? No. Is it horrific? Yes. Okay. You can buy it or not. I don't know if it's entirely realistic, but it happened. And I thought, wow, that's a pretty good opening. Then what the movie does is completely pivots so that the story is about this kid, Corey. He gets off. It's ruled an accidental death while he's taken off in handcuffs for the death of the kid. It comes out later that he got off, but he is completely traumatized by this event, that he was involved in the accidental death of a young child from a family that he knows. So then the story completely focuses on this kid, Corey. And and this is where the movie kind of goes off the rails, where it's like, hey, well, what's happening with Laurie Strode right now? What's happening with her granddaughter and her, they're kind of like roommates, right? And like, where are they at? Isn't the story about her? And it ends up pivoting to this kid, Corey, who is bullied by local townspeople, that like gets driven into effectively becoming a monster. I thought that was a really interesting idea. And it would have been interesting to play it out over 3 movies. Had they planned out like a modern trilogy, right? Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends, and they had taken this Corey character and kind of ran him through the 3 films, it would have been really interesting, but you can kind of see where it's going. Where what ends up happening is this, and I'm going to kind of stop with the spoilers after this, but this kid Corey ends up meeting Michael in a sewer where Michael is just sort of hanging out with the mask on. He's like a vagrant, and Michael doesn't kill him, and he asks him to teach him how to be a murderer. So it's this, basically the story ends up being about Corey and the making of a monster. It's not about Michael or, Laurie, Jamie Lee Curtis. So that's, I think, the problem that people have with it. And it's like, it's also 20 minutes too long. The movie's like an hour, 50 minutes. Doesn't need to be. If it was a tight 90 minutes, I think this would have been. But I will say this, the opening 10 minutes, awesome. Great kickoff, shocking. The last 20 minutes, 30 minutes of the movie, great. Horrific. Great. It's this middle chunk that focuses on a character that we're not 100% invested in. I thought it was, but I will say this, I admire it that it went for the fences. It's like, okay, we're going to do a huge risk with this. The problem is I feel like this story should have played out over the 3 Halloween films. Because it would have been a shock. It would have been a shock if there was a character that started out as good and went to become a homicidal maniac. And I will say this, some of the kills, horrific. I mean, there's some gruesome imagery that really I found disturbing. So, where do I rank it? It's kind of in the middle. I would probably give the movie like a 5 or a 6, but I think a 20-minute shorter film that focused less on the Corey character would have ranked much higher in my book. As it is, to me, this is the season. I love horror films around Halloween, so your mileage may vary. So it's a mixed review from me. Like I say, 5 or 6, but it's not completely, dismissible. And if you've already got Peacock, throw it on for an evening. Get a bucket of popcorn. There are good jumps and scares, and there are things that are incredibly horrific. Let's go to the chat here.
So Terrifier 2 still stands at the top of the hill here.
Terrifier 2 was way more gruesome than Halloween Ends. Way more gruesome. We're going to start from the bottom here and go through. We got about 20 chat questions, but we're going to wrap it up in about 15 minutes. But after we get through your questions and comments here. Scott, it is absolutely wild to think how many truly brilliant and talented writers are out there unable to get a word in while this unconscionable franchise trash keeps getting greenlit. Well, I agree. What I'm saying is I think that there are really good ideas that were in this movie, but they weren't used in the correct way. And I think it would have been, but I like the idea that, that's a really interesting idea. That could have been another movie. It should have the character of Corey could have been a completely different slasher movie. But I love the genre. And so slasher films, and Halloween the original is a classic. I own it. Molvy 747, Halloween Kills was just dumb. Ends felt like they were on drugs when they thought of it. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Justin Simone, Star Wars Marvel purist. They bait and switched with the trailer bottom line. Yeah, they did. They're like, hey, the movie's about this. Nope, it's about that. And that I kind of don't mind because trailers ruin movies. They tend to ruin it. So when I see a movie and I'm surprised. Are you feeding your dog, Alan?
Yeah, just treats. So she won't whine constantly.
All right, less whining and more treats. So
you can let her whine on the live stream. That's the other option.
So Halloween Ends is the new It, says Amanda Nowicki. Maybe. Depends on how you look at it. Fur to the Future totally thought they were going to order a pizza together and eat in the sewer together like the Turtles. Oh. Yeah, it was a little weird, but I was like, well, this is different. I just thought like it's different. Okay. Mm-hmm. Can I enjoy Halloween Ends if I've only seen the first one? Yes. You can delete Halloween Kills. Pretend it never happened. Better yet, Red Letter Media did a really good video on Halloween Kills. I thought was great. I hope that Red Letter Media sees Halloween Ends and does a video on it. Shelby AC, I think they watched the original The Thing in the first Halloween movie. So, do they? Oh, that's so great. Wow. Ryan Landis, Halloween Ends again for the final time, part 2. Whatever. Look. Ethan Snyder, Alan, check it out, man. One of the few nude scenes of her career, best boobs ever.
Trading Places.
There you go. Farrell Rose, yes, except for Lori, who turns into Betty Crocker when she should be even more paranoid. Halloween ends, but Thanksgiving is just beginning the movie, says Ryan Landis. Michigan Jack, hopefully Halloween can finally end. Put this old dog out of its misery. The franchise has become the scariest part of all the movies. Spidey Sensei 72, Halloween Ends was worth the price on Peacock. That's what I'm saying. It was like $5. And $5 also, you're not going to watch it alone. You're going to watch it with so it's like for $5. I kind of feel like the reason they did that was that people wouldn't feel so ripped off, right? If it's like for $5, yeah, fine. I'll just watch it on Peacock.
Well, I mean, they've been doing that. They did it with Firestarter. They're doing it with all their movies, basically.
Elizabeth, Red Letter just put out the review 3 hours ago. I will watch it as soon as the stream is done. Hank VP, Michael Myers only killed 2 people in the movie. Yes. Where are we on the comments here?
Getting there.
Front row, Flynn. Alan, watch original Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween H2O, and reboot Halloween. Awesome.
Yeah. Norm's been kind of wanting to get me on a horror diet here. So maybe this will be part of the menu.
It's not even a Halloween movie. Fucking Jake Skywalker on an island again. Just says Justin Simone, Star Wars Marvel Purist. I hear what you're saying. Look, I'm not giving it a great review. Like I say, it ranks a 5 or 6 out of 10 for me. But there's worthwhile stuff. Like that last 20 minutes, the first 10 minutes, they just needed to squeeze that middle. They need to squeeze that middle. But I hear what you're saying. Solomon Thornton says Halloween 1978 and Halloween 1981 were the perfect conclusion to the series. Darkness, wait, what the WTF? How did you see 0 of them?
Yeah, it's real easy. You don't watch them.
Toxic Waltz N8 says Alan failed. That was Darkness Flame Media. That previous comment. No Terrifier 2 for Alan, says Danger.
I got halfway through Terrifier 2. When the Salt and Vinegar came out, I was done.
Dieter Bastion. Alan dodged a bullet there. Well, there you go.
Interesting.
Halloween Ends or Hellraiser? Which should I watch this weekend? I think Hellraiser's better. But Hellraiser suffers from the same problem. Should have been about 30 minutes shorter. 30 minutes shorter. Horror films and good comedies, 90 minutes. Entertain, get out. Attack of the Dock is 90 minutes by design. The original cut was over like 2 hours, right? I'm like, we're not making a 2-hour movie. We're not like, look, we're telling 20 years of, G4 Attack of the Show history, along with kind of pop culture history. No, 90 minutes. You gotta kill some babies.
Yeah.
So to speak.
I think movies need to earn the 2 hours. And I think a lot aren't. And
when I say kill babies, I don't mean actually kill babies. I mean, you have some scenes in your movie where you're like, oh, this is so great. This is my baby. We slaved over this scene. Got to cut it out. Cut it out. Scott. Halloween 0 coming soon. Michigan Jack. The world needs a film threat / Red Letter Media crossover. I really like those guys. I've been watching them for years. I discovered Red Letter Media when they did their original episode 1 Phantom Menace review, but they uploaded it in 10-minute chunks. It's like 2 hours, but it was created at the time when at YouTube, the maximum video you could upload was 10 minutes. And I love that. I've never met the guys. They follow Film Threat on Twitter, and they've mentioned Film Threat at least twice that I'm aware of on their videos. So I'd love to meet them. I'd love to meet them. And I watched their movie Space Cop. I borrowed the Blu-ray from a friend and watched it. Fur to the Future, it's like they mixed in Halloween 3 crap where it's not related, but kinda, then bring in Michael at the end. Yeah, that's what my whole point was. That's interesting, but they should have just cut it down. If you cut 30 minutes out, just focus it. Let's see here. Justin Simone, Star Wars Marvel Purist, says Halloween Ends equals a 1 out of 10. Smile equals an 8 out of 10. Terrifier 2 equals 10 out of 10. Yeah, I mean, I would say Smile for me, I would rank less. I'd say Smile's more of a 5. Halloween Ends kind of a 5. I preferred Barbarian for me, and Terrifier 2. If you're into blood, guts, and gore, it is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, and it's still in the theaters. It's
dude
gaining a little momentum.
This movie was made by a Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign. It's still in theaters making money. It's made, last I checked, over $1.2 million. Still in theaters. Yeah. Okay, I think we answered that. Final super chat here from Front Row Flynn for $1.99. Yell at Frosk on the TV. You can't do that no more. Well, there you are. And we're gonna leave it there. I want to thank Alan, my partner in crime, here for.
Oh, you're welcome.
Just for having a sense of humor about himself, like, I don't know, like I've seen Alan do improv at the International Comedy Theater in San Diego.
National Comedy Theater.
National Comedy Theater. Is it international or national? The National Comedy Theater in San Diego, where Alan
and I will be there this Saturday doing it.
Oh, this Saturday, is there a website you could put up?
Yeah, nationalcomedy.com.
Is it nationalcomedy.com?
Yeah.
Post it in the chat. So I want to say thank you to Alan. I want to say thank you to all of you for watching the show today. We didn't get to devotion. I think we'll do that. We always begin the show very optimistically. Like we're gonna get to every chat. We're gonna do, and then it's like there's always one or two things that kind of fall off. But
we still got a few weeks on devotion. So
okay. So on Friday we're gonna talk about Black Adam. Spoiler. We're just gonna get deep into spoilers. Okay, we're gonna talk about Black Adam. We're gonna talk about Alan, at the Newport Beach Film Festival and movies he saw there. We'll be taking your chat questions and comments. And also want to thank Glanuccio, modding, producing, creating these thumbnails, knocking it out of the park. So subscribe to Glanuccio. And next week, we are doing a special show. It is our Halloween show. And it's a new show where we're going to be bringing on all sorts of YouTubers. Not just Alan and I. It's going to be Alan, myself, and a lot of other YouTubers. We're going to test out a new show on Monday. I don't know what exact time we're going to do it. It'll probably be like a late afternoon show. And it is called Versus. And I'm going to give you a little preview of Versus. Versus is a show where we come up with a topic and we debate that topic. Basically, we fight. So we're going to be talking about the best horror franchise. And I'll give you a little taste of, this is our Versus branding here. So there you go. Here's our Versus branding. Here's our little Versus intro video. I'm giving you a taste of what you'll see next week on a new live stream. Get ready to fight with our new show Versus, launching next week, Monday at a time to be determined. But join us also on Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, noon Eastern, for our regular Friday live cast. And I don't know, Alan, anything else you'd like to say?
Just filmthreat.com. Come and visit, and reviews every day.
That sounds good. And then also, I do want just a quick reminder to everyone that's here is that our reviews are delicious.
Holy fucking shit, these reviews are delicious.
That's it for Alan and I. Follow us. We're Film Thread and everything. Film Thread on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I am that Chris Gore. Alan.
Let's get out of here.
No, I was gonna say, what's your Twitter?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Social media.
My pal Al on Twitter, and then Film Threat Alan on Instagram and TikTok.
Cool. Alan, you have a TikTok?
I've only added a few things, but maybe one day I'll get serious about it.
All right, Alan, take us out.
Let's get out of here.